Okay, so futuristic, we've talked a little bit about this one already, but usually people with high futuristic are visionaries. So they get really excited, dreaming about 1 year from now, 5 years, 10, 20. The amount of time that you think ahead kind of depends on what your other strengths are and other things about you. So usually it's a little beyond your reach. It's further than just like tomorrow or next month for most people. But people with high futuristic have a really easy time just visualizing what could be. And so, usually, if they're talking about the future with somebody else, that tends to be like an exciting thing. There's a sense of the future is going to be better than the present. So, one thing that people with high futuristic have to look out for is that sometimes they can live in a daydream and that can pull them out of their present reality. Or they might need a little bit of help connecting the dots of how do we get from where we are to these future dreams. So depending on your other strengths, some people with a lot of executing strengths or maybe like a strategic or something like that would clearly be able to see the steps, whereas other people with really high futuristic have a harder time knowing how do we get there. And so what I usually recommend is those people partner with other people who are more fill in the gap kind of people. My futuristic is kind of in the middle for me, but one story that I have that relates to it is I had this idea for basically an international student group. So my college had a ton of international students, and the more I got to know them, the more I realized that when you come to the States as an international student, it's a culture shock. Often, like, you're not coming with enough money to fully furnish your apartment. It's hard to make friends. There's just so many challenges in that space. And so I had all these ideas of like, we could do all these cool things to help them. And I had this whole, like, I can show you what this looks like, but it felt like I don't know how to make this happen. It's a huge barrier. So one day I was just talking to a friend about it and telling her about all these dreams. And she just starts writing down. And by the end of me going on this monologue, she's like, okay, well, if we're going to make that happen, we would have to do this first. And then we would have to do this. And she just had all of these practical steps written out. And it was like shocking to me that her brain works so differently than mine. Anyway, we ended up carrying out a lot of these things and like got to see international students like have a way better time transitioning into college. I get emotional thinking about it because it feels so profound. It was one of the first times that I had like a partnership like that where someone was filling in the gaps of my strengths. So I just went on a little tangent about that, but I'm curious to know how your future works and if you can relate more to me or if you do fill in those gaps.
Definitely more like yourself. I tend to just imagine things what could work better, things that could have been if I didn't do this and do that.
Yes.
If I didn't do this, would I have been in this situation instead? Would I have been like far better? Similar to your friend as well. My best friend is kind of like that too. He's the one who's more into like really researching things and technical stuff. And then every time I tell him about what I'm going through or like what I want to happen, what I'm thinking about like for future like projects or whatever, he's the one who kind of like fills in the gap.
I'm really glad you have him. That's really awesome.
Likewise.
And often those opposites kind of attract, kind of like people
Hmm.
say that in a marriage, but I think it's true in friendships too. You're kind of drawn to people who are different from you.